Hey guys, this is Paul from Smart Easy DIY. Welcome to the next video in my garage build series. So this is episode 13 in the series. Today we're going to be pouring the concrete floor. These guys I have actually worked with before. They poured the concrete floor in my house, so I have worked with them before. If you do hire somebody to do a concrete floor, I would recommend getting some recommendations from either some friends that you know or something. Read some good reviews. Maybe you can even go take a look at some of their work that they did if you want to have a nice flat floor. I did do a little stronger mix than typical on the concrete. I think I had mentioned it in a previous video, but I did 4,000 psi mix for the strength, and I did fiberglass mesh included. That just makes for a really nice strong floor. So I wanted to mention in this point in the pour, it's good to check your air pressure in your PEX tubing gauge there as you're going along. I do mention it later in this video, but it's a really good idea to just keep an eye on that. And of course, if you are going to have a problem, it's going to be very apparent if you have air in your lines, because it's going to blow some concrete around. If for some reason they would puncture it when they're working or something, which it's really tough. PEX tubing is really tough, but there is always that chance that you could have a problem. So that's why you want to keep it pressurized. But it did drop it down to 40 psi during this pour. So the second truck showed up, as you can see. I just did a time lapse here to kind of show the process. I kind of wanted to document it for you guys so you can kind of get an idea if you've never been around a concrete pour before, just so you can kind of see how it goes along. So what they do is they screed it, they rough screed it, get it in there usually with a 2x4, or they probably have an actual aluminum screed. Then that long thing with the long handle there is called a bull float, and they get right on there and they float it. It's like made out of aluminum, and it brings the cream to the top. So as soon as you pour it and screed it off, you want to get it hit with that thing so you can get some of that cream to the top. That's what makes a nice finish on the top. See here, I just wanted to show you this. This is when they're pouring along. You can see they've kind of picked up the rebar as they go along, which is what they do. Try to get it up into that bottom third anyway of the pour. So that's really good. And then yeah, here I'm going to check my pressure gauge. So you can see it's just above 40 there, which is good. During the day it got a little above 40. At night it's down to 40. So that's holding good, which is awesome. So it's good to keep an eye on that once in a while. I did want to take the day off and be at home in case there was a problem that came up. I wanted to be there. Even though I was there, I didn't help with the pour because that's what I paid them to do. So it felt kind of weird just being a bystander. But it was kind of fun to watch. I did feel kind of bad for them because it ended up being a really hot day. They did pour pretty early though, so that helped. But they're used to it. They do it all the time, all day, every day, which I could not do. It's back-breaking work. It's hard work. So these guys work really hard. I was very appreciative of it. I did offer them some really good cookies that my wife made, and believe me, she makes really good cookies, and also refreshments and stuff. But believe it or not, concrete guys, these guys in particular, half of them or more were on a diet, which I was kind of surprised because I was like, man, if I was working this hard every day, I don't think I'd be counting calories. I don't think I'd need to. But anyway, I just had to tease them a little because I was like, man, if somebody offered me cookies when I was on a job site like this, I wouldn't turn them down. But hey, they do their thing, you know. They went down to the local gas station when they were waiting for the concrete trucks to show up, and they got all their energy drinks and Mountain Dew, I guess. So now they're running on sugar and caffeine. So yay for them, I guess. But they did a great job, and I was really happy and got them a nice bonus so they could go get themselves some good food afterwards. So I think they were happy too. So now's the time to do some hand prints if you want to. It was pretty cute. I really like how that turned out. But now's the time to do that. So they're getting on with the power trowel. It's kind of a fine line of when to do that, when to start it. You don't want to do it when it's too soft, but you also don't want to let it get too firm. So they kind of test it out. They know from doing it all day, every day. But I've done some power troweling in my day, and yeah, you definitely don't want to get on it too soon or it'll make a real mess, but you don't want it to get away from you either. But every time you go over it and stir it up like that, it makes it harder. It kind of gets the air across the top and just seems to work it and speed up the process. So they keep going at it and just keep hitting it. And then another guy, he comes and does the hand troweling around the drains and the pipes and stuff. Overall, I think this was a really easy pour for them. It was all set up, ready to go when they showed up, and they just did it, and there wasn't too many pipes in their way. There's a couple, but overall, I think they were really happy, and I was happy with the job they did overall. So, yeah, really glad that I hired somebody else to do it. Sometimes it's definitely worth it to pay somebody else to do certain parts of the job. So the concrete guys have come and gone for the day. So I got the sprinkler set up for them. They wanted me to set it up overnight, or at least until I go to bed about 11, just to slow down the curing process so it gets harder overnight, and then they're gonna come back and score it tomorrow. So right there you can see where my floor drains are. So yeah, overall, really happy how it turned out. I wanted to do a quick walkthrough now that the pour is all done and the concrete guys were back today, next day, to score these lines. My boys have been having so much fun, they don't know what to do with a flat floor. We have so much hillside and mountain here at the place, so having a flat floor, man, they're just in little boy heaven. You can see there's bikes and striders everywhere. Anyway, overall, I'm really happy how the pour turned out. They scored it, didn't hit any pipes, which is great. So I still left the pressure in here. You can see my pressure gauge right there. It's up to about 44 right now because it's been hot, but I have it set for 40 at night when it's cool. So anyway, I just been leaving it for now. But so tonight I started taking the forms down. It's just a mess over here. I've been sweating bullets, so I didn't really want to show that on camera. It's been so hot and kind of smoky. There's a fire not too far away. It's mostly contained, but it's been really smoky here the last couple days, and so very humid, sticky because of that, and I've been sweating like crazy. So I wanted to show really quick. I got mass chaos and destruction going here. What I did first is I went through, pulled all that duct tape off, which, by the way, I did want to talk about that duct tape here somewhere. Maybe this would be the closest corner to do that. So overall, that duct tape that I used, these guys were very neat and clean for the most part. There was a couple spots where there was spillage and the screws were nice to have, but I would say overall, it was not really worth the time to do it. You know how I said I would update as it went along? So yeah, for the most part, these guys kept it neat and clean. I am impressed how well this Gorilla Tape holds compared to some other brands. Look at that. In theory, it did its trick, what it was supposed to do, but like I said, there was only, I think, where they had the last load and had to rake out a little bit in the front, a little bit back here. Overall, it did what it was supposed to do, but I don't think it was worth the time. Okay, so back to the chaos over here. So what I did, I went through first and took the duct tape off, pulled the screws out of there, dug down in front of the stakes a little, pulled the screws out there, and then just to kind of walk you through the process. Well, so I did this side and then I did this side. Then I decided I'm going to start pulling these off just to see how they come out. So the one thing that, and I thought about this while I was doing this, I wanted to share it with you guys. The one thing that is a little bit of a pain is you always have to think about tearing these apart. I probably should have put these whaler boards on, these ledgers, strong backs, whatever you want to call them, and I should have probably toe screwed them. That would have been a place for the concrete to sit, and it might have been a little messy getting them out. But if I would have done that, toe screwed all these together instead of screwing them in from this side, then I could have taken that 2x4 off and gotten to the stakes a little easier. But overall, it wasn't bad because I had to just dig down in front where all these stakes are. As you can see, I'll show you some here that I didn't get out yet because I wanted to kind of show this in progress. So right here is one. So what I did is I just dug down a little bit so I could get my screw gun in there and pulled these out, pulled the screws out of the stakes. And then what I'm doing is I'm kind of prying up. I'm actually using this plate tamper here, and I'm just kind of getting, when I get under an edge like this, then I just carefully get in there without damaging the plastic and pry up on it. And once I get it started, I can just kind of work it up. So once I've been working this up like this far right here, then I can pull the screws out on the backside here on those. And so that's been working out good to pull the screws out. So I do that every so far. And then you remember the screws that I put in the foam to hold it in place? This foam actually went down a little, but that's okay. It'll get covered up there. Sometimes I can pull these screws out ahead of time. Otherwise, it does chip out the foam a little bit, as you can see right here. But it's right there on the top. It's not really a big deal, I don't think, because my steel is going to cover all that. So the other thing was right here, I want to cover that plastic up, and I want to be careful when I'm pulling these boards out. I'm trying to make sure that no gravel gets in behind that plastic because I don't want any to get back in there. And then just to hold it for now temporarily, I'm just stapling it in there. It doesn't hold the best, but I'm hoping I can get that steel bent up pretty soon that I'm going to use to cover that. And then I can do that, and this is just going to hold it in the meantime. So I didn't pull my stakes out yet, but as I'm going, I'm kind of pulling the gravel back just so I can get that steel in there for now. And then that can just rest for now until
I think pretty much I'm going to build the building and then go ahead, dig all this gravel back, and then put the foam board out here for the frost protection. That's what all that stuff is sitting over there, all the leftovers from the floor. They're actually all the cutoffs from this. I think I talked about it when I was doing the foam, but the cutoffs from this, they're 16 inches this way, and then code here is to go out 32 inches this way for frost protection. So that's what I'm going to do, is just use a 4-foot sheet. It works perfect to split it like that. So that's kind of the update and the process. You can just kind of figure it out as you go, but that's what's been working for me.
Alright guys, well we're out of time for today. It's time to end this video, but I wanted to give you a sneak preview of what's coming up in the next video. Now you might be thinking that I should be building walls in the next video now that the floor is poured, but I wanted to build trusses on this nice flat floor since there's nothing in the way, and I need a nice place to get this laid out to get a pattern set up. Now if you're interested in building your own trusses, be sure to keep your eyes open for this next one. If not, you'll probably want to skip ahead in the series to the next video after that. I'm going to save quite a bit of money by doing this, that's why I'm doing it, but I wanted to walk you through that in the next video. So keep your eyes open for that. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I appreciate the support, guys. Thanks for watching.